welcome to lesson 1. In lesson 1, where we're jumping off is at the very beginning, which is strategy and goals. And yes, we're going to talk about how this is really going to build the foundation for the rest of this course for you. So let's dive in. Okay, so what are we going to cover in this session? We're going to cover why goals are important, because they really are. How a strategy like this is going to make all of your social media easier. We're going to talk about the components of content strategy. And then I have a worksheet for you that we're going to walk through. And then I'm going to review some examples of fictitious companies that I created and what their content strategy sheets look like. So let's dive in. So why do we need goals? So one of the main reasons you need goals is they really set up your measurement tools. You set a goal, you do some stuff, and then you measure to see if it worked, right? That's how you know what you're doing is worth doing it. And I think if you know that you're moving the needle or you're being successful, you're going to continue to do more. Goals keep you focused on what's important, and there's no shinier object out there than social media. It is so easy to get lost in doing other things or trying to mimic and copy other people, which may not be good for your business. So you make a goal, and that's what keeps you focused on doing all of the things to support your goals. And goals are really your jumping off point for your overall strategy. And then when you create a strategy, content creation is easier. And yes, it's definitely going to be easier when you create the right strategy. So let's dive into what a couple of the main components of strategy are, right? So a strategy defines your target audience. And if your company can service a lot of people, everyone is not your target audience. When you try to sell to everyone, you sell to no one because it's so diluted. What you want to do is think about the target audience that you're willing to spend money on, or the audience that makes you the most money, either one, to really help hone it down. And so when you figure out who those people are, what problems does your product or service solve for them? Every company solves a problem with what they provide. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in business. So figure out what those problems are. Then this strategy helps you develop the language that speaks to your audience, right? And it's probably happened to you when you've talked to someone and what they're saying resonates with you as a person, what you like, what you need, you're listening more intently. And that's what this type of language is designed to do. When you find a specific audience and you speak to them, it can become really powerful. And then the strategy is also going to help you develop your calls to action. You need calls to action. Buy my stuff. That's the simplest call to action you can have, but you can get more sophisticated. So let's dive into some of these a little bit deeper, okay? Your primary objective, right? Your goal, right? What do you want your end result to be? And that goal guides who the audience is, your content, your image, and the creation, and even it's the beginning of figuring out what platforms you want to be on. So then once you know what your goals and your objectives are, who's your primary audience? And like I said before, these are the people you're willing to pay money for, or they're like that best customer and you want 50 of them. Next, once you've figured that out, you want to start grabbing their attention. Figure out 3 problems that you solve, at least 3. My guess is you're going to find 4 or 5, but pick your top 3, right? Because you don't want to dilute things too much. And then if you can convert that to a question that they can answer yes to, that's really awesome, because when you ask someone a question and they say yes, right? Things change. They become more open. especially if it's a positive based question. That's when you can start telling them how you can solve that problem for them. And then calls to action. You want to figure out what your call to action is now. And you definitely need one. It's much easier to get people to do what you want them to do when you tell them what to do, right? And then decide how you want to be contacted, because people are going to contact you. So if you don't want telephone calls, don't put your telephone number out there. There are so many different ways for people to get in touch with you. You can have them fill out forms in either some of the social media platforms or on your website. You can have them click through. There's messaging systems in many of the social media platforms, commenting sections. There's scheduling tools out there where they can actually schedule their own appointment on your calendar for times that you have designated to be free for that. So figure out how you want to be contacted, and that's the base of your call to action. Okay, so let's go through the worksheet together. Hopefully you have printed or pulled up a copy of your worksheet. If you have the PDF, the Adobe PDF reader, you can actually type right into the form and save it to your desktop. Ideally, you want to make one of these for each big goal you have or a big audience shift that you have. So goal, what do you want your end result to be? Make sure that you're picking 1 to 2 goals. Don't put 5 of them in here because then it can get confusing, and then you might try to talk about all of them in a single post. Who's your audience? Who's going to benefit from your product or service the most? Again, it's that perfect audience. It's the one that's going to make you money. And you may have more than one, or you may have more than one for a different product or service. Fill out multiples of these if that's the case. Next, what do they need? What do they want? Here's where you're going to list those problems. Try to list at least 3. Because it's going to give you, the more you have, the more it's going to give you to talk about. And we're going to go through how you're going to talk about these in other lessons. And then how can you solve those problems? Try to make sure you're using you and your language. You're putting it in their perspective, not about what you are going to do. We humans are all self-centered creatures. And what we want to know the most when we encounter something new is this for me? And if you can help them identify their problem, and if you can solve it, then they're going to be ready to listen more to you, or to read more from you, or to be one of your fans. So this is where it gets really important. Make it all about them and not about you. Then convert those into questions that they can answer yes to, and stay positive. If it's something that's maybe not so positive, like, did your family get the flu this year? Yeah, they did. That joy, there's no joy, and then they're starting to think about how hard it was and awful it was when people in the house were sick, versus if you ask a question like, are you trying to avoid getting the flu this year? Yes, we really are. And then they're in solution mode and they're motivated. See the difference? And that's what a positive question versus a negative question can do for you. Calls to action, you only need 1 or 2. Sometimes when you get really perfect language for a call to action, it's good to use it over and over again, because that actually becomes part of your brand, almost like a tagline. And then figure out how you want to be contacted. If you want calls, put your telephone number in there. If you don't want calls, figure out a different way. I do not recommend putting an email address in there. There are spammers that scrape websites, they scrape social media, and they pull out email addresses, and then you get unwanted solicitations. But at least if you're putting in some type of a form where someone has to fill it out, you can avoid some of that. Some of them are really diehards, and they put all of, they fill out a form and put their information in there anyway. But you can help avoid that a little bit. So now that we've gone through the form and you've begun to fill it out yourself, I want to walk you through a couple of examples. that of fictitious companies that I put together for you. So one's a shoe company, and the other one is a cleaning company. So one product-based company and one service-based company. So let's start with the service-based company. This is a residential cleaning company, and their goal is 3 new residential cleaning customers per month, right? So they do reoccurring business, and they do one-time cleanings too, but they want to increase that reoccurring business so that they can continue to stack those clients every single month. This is a good goal for them because they don't have to bring on a whole new crew to bring 3 new customers on per month until they hit some certain level of capacity, but there'll be plenty of time to do that. Who their audience is. So for them, their audience is working moms, ages 25 to 55. That family income level is somewhere around 100K for the Northeast region where he is in. That number can be different for your area. And then they're anticipating that these families should have kids between the ages of 2 and 13 because that's where mom is really having to pick up after the kids and do a lot of that stuff on their behalf, plus take them to and fro. So their lives are much more active and busy and involved with the kids. So what do they want? So here's their problems, right? They don't have enough time to keep the house clean. They're working, they've got the kids, they've got all this other stuff going on. Another problem that they have is they're hosting a party. And they don't have time to get the house ready for the party, plus all the other stuff they have to do. And then the third one is they're worried that the family will get sick if the house is not clean, which is a real concern. So how are we solving those problems? Spend more time with the family and less time cleaning. Notice it's a statement about how this benefits them, not something like, we can clean your house. The next one is don't stress about cleaning the house when hosting a party. And then a third one is keeping flu season at bay by having a clean home. So that's how you're solving each of those problems. And then here's a couple of examples of how we can kind of turn those into questions. Want more me or family time? Because moms, they may want both of those. Right? So yeah, I want a little me time. I want a little family time. Looking for ways to keep the family healthy this flu season? Yeah, that's motivational. And then, are you hosting for the holidays, or are you hosting for the holidays? Oh gosh, yes, I am hosting Thanksgiving or Mother's Day. You can kind of change out the word holidays for very specific things for different times of the year. Mother's Day, graduation party, birthdays, bar mitzvahs, Christmas, that's where you can personalize something like that. And then their call to actions. You worry about life and leave the cleaning to us. Call to schedule your free in-home consultation, right? So they are soliciting telephone calls with this one. The second one is you host and we clean. Schedule your free in-home consultation online. And then that would have a link in there as well. So you can see where you can select different types and then kind of work them all in together. All right, so now let's take a look at the shoe company. I just thought this one would be really fun. So this is a company that has an online store and they have a brick and mortar store. So in this instance, their goal is to sell 10% more store carryout items every month. So it's a nice specific goal. And their audience is women ages 25 to 55 who love shoes that make them look and feel special. So we're weaving in a little bit of emotion in there. So it's not utilitarian shoes. I imagine this company where they sell fun sandals and boots and flip-flops and comfy shoes that are just have a little bling on them in multiple colors. And what do they need? What are their problems? They need shoes for a special occasion. It's a party or an event. You can kind of insert the special event if you want. If it's a wedding, if it's a birthday party, it's a gala opening, something like that. doesn't have shoes in the right color for a new outfit that they bought. That's always a good one. Their existing shoes are uncomfortable, right? They may look beautiful, but if they're not comfortable, there's some of us out there that want both, right? They want comfort and style all together. And then I threw in a fourth one just for fun. If you're bold enough to do something like this, they just broke up with their significant others and they need shoe therapy. It's a thing. So how can you solve these problems? The shoe makes the outfit regardless of where you are going, right? And where you are going could get replaced with the shoe makes the outfit when you're attending a wedding, when you're attending a gala, right? You can modify that language up, but this is your basic concept. Always look your best right down to your toes. And then again, that's when you can pull in there too if it's for an outfit or something special. And this one is specifically for that fourth one. Breakup sucks. Shoes make you look and feel better, right? That's playing to some emotion. Some people might find it funny and some people might find it comforting, believe it or not. How do you pull these into questions you can answer yes to? Do you need fabulous shoes to go with that fabulous new dress? Or do you want to look amazing at the next party of the season? And then your calls to action. Get directions to our store to find your next amazing pair of shoes, right? So you can kind of couple all of these together. And notice it says get directions, and you can put a link to Google Maps in there as well so that they can get directions from their location. And then the other one was just a fun play on that fourth problem. Put down the ice cream and get shoes instead to feel better. Your feet and waistline will thank you. Shop in store today. Okay, so you can have fun with these, and you can put some aspirational stuff out there too. You know, a client of mine or you may never, ever, ever use that fourth one. But if it's kind of sitting there in your brain and it's something off to the side, it may be a post that you do at some point way in the future. Alrighty, so we covered a lot here. And at the end of each of these lessons, I'm going to go through next steps with you so that it can ground you into what you have to do next. Okay, so what you're going to do next is you're going to complete that content strategy worksheet that we started on together. And if you need help, use the examples as inspiration or interview some clients or someone that you know that matches that audience to help get an understanding of maybe what their problems are, or maybe ask them like what your question would be, and you kind of get some feedback. Then once you're all done with that, you can submit your questions or worksheets to me. If you ask questions, make sure you attach the worksheet so I have context. And if it's just a question, or if you want me to take a look at your worksheet and give you some thoughts and ideas, I can certainly do that. Okay, go finish those content strategy worksheets, and I will see you in the next session.